Okay.
Just so happen to be
The best song in the world. Hello, good morning, everybody. We have to remember my milk today.
needless to say. At least the sun went his own tail, and the beast was done. He asked us, "Be you angels?" And we said, "Nay." We are the men.
Morning. Nope. This is just a tribute. Just a tribute. Pickle twins. I've gotten into the habit of having a post-workout pickle PWP, if you will. Yeah, it's good for your for not having cramps, I think. Nope. This is how you can tell the difference between Secret Boyfriend and me. I mean, there's a lot of ways, actually. But this is what Secret Boyfriend woke up with in his head. This is not what I woke up with in my head. Banana before because carbs and pickle and protein after. I don't know if that's scientific, though. Could be. I do know this song, though.
Lyrics.
What? I know all the lyrics. I owned that album at some point. Yeah. We deem it scientific, yes. That is not what I woke up with in my head. I woke up with Wicked in my head because I am a musical theater girl.
I woke up with Wonder Boy.
That's still Tenacious D. Yeah. See, yesterday, my friend posted a video of herself singing something from Wicked, and that clip has been stuck in my head literally since then. Ellen. She did a very good job. She sounds great doing it. She should have been in Wicked. They never hired her, but it was a shame. They kept calling her in for the anyone else's child watch videos of amusement parks. My friend's son does. Brine pickle juice could actually restore and rehydrate you. Yeah, no, for sure. When Ellen was auditioning, she went and auditioned for Wicked and she didn't get hired. And she went and auditioned for Wicked one more time and she didn't get hired. And one more time and then she was like, that's enough. And then they started calling her and asking her to come audition. And she was like, okay. And they did that 5 times. And she was like, guys, after 8 times, if you don't know if you want me or not, we need to stop this mess.
Clearly, it's like one person wanted her.
And they were fighting for her. Yeah.
Someone else, and they're like, no, you guys didn't want her.
Yeah. Something like that. It might have been like a half team thing. Like half the team was like, yeah, we want it. And the other half was like, no, we don't. And they just went back and forth about it or something.
So weird.
But it was like over 7 years that they did this
So
to her.
someone was like dying on that hill of not having her, basically.
Yeah, it's weird, right?
It's weird.
That did happen, though.
That sucks.
It does. Because she only just did it a couple times. She wasn't like pressing it like crazy, you know? But they just kept calling her in and she was like, enough's enough, you guys. Enough's enough.
Enough's enough.
Disney World rides all morning. You should talk to my friend Joanna. She's not very active here on TikTok. She's here a little bit, but her son loves watching those. You met Arbitrary Canary. Can you tell us how that transpired? Yeah, Arbitrary Canary told me she was coming into town and said, do you want to get together? And I said, sure. That was literally the entirety of the situation. the entirety of the situation. There was no funny business. Sasha, tell me why I shouldn't go to Disneyland Paris again. I mean, if that's the only option you have because you're over there in Europe right now, Des, I would go, but like, it's not the best, I'll tell you that much. Whoa, that was a weird sound. Is there a puppy out there in distress?
Puppy? I couldn't go over to see.
No, sorry. You love my shirt, thank you. She's adorable, I love her dimples. She is adorable. Kat is a very lovely lady. And goodness knows I guess no. Whoa, here. You can have this one. You can put it back after. Goodness knows. They said most of the rides weren't working. That sucks.
It just.
At Disneyland Paris.
You know why?
Because they suck. And she's honest, she'd never let you. It's true. She told me she didn't like my phone case. Whoa! The French are not nice. I'm not gonna lie. That's true. Not true. Let me rewind that. Parisians are not nice. People outside of Paris are nice. But people in Paris are not nice. But people in the south of France were pretty nice, and in Champagne they were really nice. Yeah. And goodness knows.
What's up?
Wicked.
I have a Wicked song.
You do? Uh-oh, I'm scared.
It's called Wicked.
I'm full of fear. Really, I had a great experience in Paris. Oh, you are lucky. Here you go, babe. Here's your coffee. Oh my god, to go to Champagne and have champagne would be amazing. I mean, it was fine, Grace. Unless you're like obsessed with champagne, it's really not that special.
Champagne.
Did you put an egg in there?
Yeah.
What?
It's gonna be amazing.
A raw egg in our smoothie? Ew.
I've done it many times. It's really good. You're not gonna try it now?
I'm gonna try it now.
Trust me, it's amazing.
11 out of 10 do not recommend Malta, especially if you're not related to, if you are related to Malta. I like the idea of real champagne. I get whatever. Well, there's an egg in our smoothie, you guys. I'm scared.
What?
What if I get poisoned?
Oh, that's not how it works.
Okay, well, I'm glad that's not
Haven't you ever had cookie dough?
Yeah, that's true. But is it going to taste like cookie dough?
It's gonna
Probably
taste
not.
better. It's gonna be the best tasting smoothie you've ever had.
Okay. Des, you know I can't remember things from a live. You gotta ask me in like an email or something.
Sorry.
That's okay. Becca said, too slimy.
No, it's not.
Anya, are you going to give you... Or, I was trying to read someone's comment and talk at the same time, and it clearly didn't work. Anya, are you gonna go see a show at the La Jolla Playhouse while you're down there? Because they have really good ones. It's like a premier, like top of the line theater, one of the best in the country. Becca wants to know if you've given me an egg in the smoothie before and not said anything.
I have not.
He has not.
I think.
He thinks. You should, Anya. That would be very cool. You totally should. Okay. Are we ready?
Are you ready?
Becca said you're suspicious.
Becca, don't say that. It's not true.
Can I have a straw?
Yes.
Thank you, honey. He's gonna give me a straw so I can finish the smoothie. I have the hiccups, you guys. Does everyone... That's enough. Why are you giving me so much?
Oh, I just don't want to cheat you out of the best tasting smoothie you're ever going to have.
We'll keep you updated. We want to visit Animal Rescue. That awkward giggle proved me wrong.
Just try it. Say, taste how smooth it tastes compared to the normal one.
I'm so scared. What if I get salmonella poisoning?
Babe, no. They're pasteurized. You can't.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I wish I didn't know it was in it, but it's pretty good.
Right?
Yeah.
Does it taste smoother?
It is smooth. Okay, my question for everyone here is who remembers what land we're going to today? Does everyone remember where we're going?
I remember.
Where?
Oz.
We went to Oz 4 chapters ago, babe.
Oh, I know. You're going to Communist Russia.
Yes, we're going to Communist Russia right now. What a fairy tale. We are going to Wonderland. Yay! Or at least we're going into the story, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. Just like when we thought we were going to Neverland, we might not actually be going to Neverland. I don't really know. So, we're going to read. We're going on a trip in our favorite rocket ship. I like it. Nice. Yes. All right. Let's read this story. This is chapter 19, and it's called Down the Rabbit Hole. Look how far into the book we are, you guys. It's almost time for Britney Spears' book. All right. Here we go. The twins and their friends traveled into Alice's Adventures in Wonderland safely and took in the newly formed environment. Once again, Connor picked up the book and tucked it safely away, this time into Lester's saddle. To quote my friend Amelia Earhart, boy, am I glad to be off that island, Mother Goose said. I wouldn't be surprised if Tinkerbell got herself kidnapped on purpose just to get away from those awful children. Is this Wonderland? The Tin Man asked. Doesn't look very wondrous to me, Peter said and crossed his arms. In fact, it looks just like the English countryside. That's because it is the English countryside, Alex said. Trust me, once we get to Wonderland, you'll know it. The countryside was very picturesque. Rolling green hills and trees of all kinds surrounded them, and a quiet river ran beside them. It was very comfortable outside, and judging from the different shades of golden leaves, the twins figured it was the beginning of autumn. They heard noises coming from down the river and realized they weren't alone. A young woman escorted a little girl out of the trees and across the stone bridge. They appeared to be in the middle of an argument. The twins and their friends hid behind the trees and eavesdropped. We mustn't leave the bank at a time like this, the little girl fussed. She was a very pretty little child and held a small... Let me try to redo that. I thought it was the older one. Hold on. We mustn't leave the bank at a time like this, the little girl fussed. She was a very pretty child and held a small cat in her arms. She wore a bow in her hair and a lacy apron over her dress. Alice, I'm taking you home to Mother so she can put you down for a nice nap, the young woman said. She was pretty too, an older version of her sister. You're the worst sister in the world, Alice said. If you hadn't seen the flying pirate ship, I would have believed you. Dinah saw it too, and it gave her quite the shock, the poor dear. She kissed the cat's forehead and cradled her tightly. In Alice's defense, the cat looked utterly freaked out. Well, then I'm afraid you've both gone mad, the sister said. Now come along. If you mention the pirate ship one more time, then I'm going to have a word with Father. The sister took Alice by the hand, and they crossed the bridge and headed home. We're definitely in the right place, Connor said. Certainly are, Alex said. All we need now is the
Something white and fluffy suddenly dashed across the countryside in the distance and caught their attention. What was that? The Tin Woodman asked. That's our ticket to Wonderland, Alex said. Quick, everyone follow that rabbit. The twins, the Tin Woodsman, Peter, Mother Goose, and Lester sprinted into the countryside after the furry animal. He hopped along the dirt path and dashed into the trees. It was hard to follow him with all the leaves and tall grass obstructing their view, but luckily the white rabbit paused every few hundred yards or so. He would remove a golden watch from the pocket of his waistcoat and check the time. Oh dear, I'm terribly late, the rabbit said and raced deeper into the countryside. They chased the white rabbit over a tall hill and into a small valley. They all gasped and came to a halt. The enormous Jolly Roger was lying on its side in the valley. Thankfully, the ship appeared to be vacant, as if the pirates had parked it there. The white rabbit hopped to a hedge and climbed onto a wide hole under climbed into a wide hole under the hedge's roots. The twins and the others caught up to the hedge just a moment before the rabbit disappeared. They stared into the rabbit hole while they caught their breath. Before we go down there, it's important for everyone to know a few facts about Wonderland, Alex said. Oh, now she decides to give us a heads up, Mother Goose said. Wonderland is a place of trickery and confusion, Alex said. Nothing makes sense and nothing is as it seems. We have to stay together at all times, so never travel too far away from the group. Don't trust a word anyone says, no matter how friendly they seem. Wonderland will drive you mad if you aren't careful. They all took a deep breath and rallied up some courage. On the count of 3, we'll jump inside, Alex said. 1, 2, 3! They jumped into the rabbit hole and fell down a long dirt tunnel. They fell and they fell, faster and faster, but there was no end in sight. They started seeing cupboards and bookshelves peculiarly placed along the walls of the tunnel as they went. They assumed this meant that they were getting close, but they were sadly mistaken. Are you sure this is the right rabbit hole? The Tin Woodsman asked. This one appears to be endless. I'm positive, Alex said. Well, then let's speed things up, Mother Goose said. She shaped her hand to look like a gun and fired an invisible bullet into the space above them. Bam! A huge explosion went off, pushing them down into the tunnel at rocket speed. The blast rattled the tunnel and all the cupboards and bookshelves fell off the dirt walls and down the tunnel after them. The twins and their friends finally reached the end of the tunnel and landed on a soft pile of leaves and twigs. They looked up and saw an avalanche of carpentry headed straight for them. Look out! Connor yelled. They jumped to their feet and dived away from the pile of leaves. The cupboards and bookshelves from the tunnel crashed to the ground and created a mountain of broken wood, glass, and teacups. It piled so high that it blocked the rabbit hole. I hope we weren't planning on going back that way, Mother Goose said. They found themselves in a long and low hall. The walls were lined with the doors of all shapes and sizes and colors. There wasn't a single doorknob that was alike. Mother Goose, the Tin Woodsman, and Peter tried opening the doors, but they were all locked. None of these doors will open, Peter said. It's all right, Alex said. We're not using any of them. She went back to the hall where there was a curtain hung. She moved the curtain aside and revealed a tiny door that was about a foot tall. She looked through the tiny keyhole and saw a beautiful garden on the other side. Wonderland. This is the door we need, Alex said. She got to her feet and looked all around the hall. Now, there should be a golden key somewhere. Alex found a glass table pushed to the side, but there was no key on top of it like she was expecting. Oh no, she said. Uncle Lloyd must have taken the key with him when he passed through. We have to find another way. Everyone, stand back. I'm going to enchant it. I thought we were reading Brittany next after this. Yeah, it's after this one. Yeah. We're reading Brittany as soon as we finish this. Yes, yes, yes. I'm late for a very important book club. No time to say hello. We're reading. Crash! Without instruction, the Tin Woodsman kicked the small door open. Apologies, he said. I figured this would be faster. Alex looked like she was about to kiss him. Good thinking. How are we all going to fit through the door? Mother Goose said. Lester will never squeeze through something that small. Lester gave her a dirty look as if to say, but you will. There should be a bottle somewhere that makes a string. Oh, here it is, Connor said. He found the bottle with a ribbon tied around it on top of the glass table. The ribbon read, Drink me. Connor uncorked the bottle. The bottom's up, he said. Just as he was about to take a sip, Peter knocked the bottle out of his hand. It hit the floor and shattered, and the liquid spilled everywhere. Connor and his glass table, that's right. Everybody say hi, Mike. Mike is my friend who's he is a dialect teacher and coach. What did you do that for? Connor yelled. We needed that. Connor, look at the floor, Alex said. The others backed away from the spill. The liquid rotted the floor, turning the checkered tile into a nasty brown. I knew that bottle wasn't from this place, Peter said. It's from Hook's ship. It was poison. They must have switched the bottles, knowing that we would be following them. The twins sighed with relief. They were so glad that Peter insisted on coming. I'll shrink us, Alex said. It's been a while since her powers backfired on her, and she hoped this wasn't the moment that they would break that streak. She closed her eyes and focused as hard as she could. Alex pointed to each of them, and light swirled around their bodies, shrinking them to under a foot tall. Once she changed them without trouble, she shrunk herself. Nice job, Connor said and gave his sister a hug. The freshly shrunken group hurried through the smashed doorway and entered into the gardens of Wonderland. Just as Alex had said, the others knew they were there the very second they laid eyes on it. It's the land of stories. It's not Peter Pan. It's not Peter Pan. It's the land of stories. We're entering Wonderland, Mike. We're entering Wonderland. They felt like they had entered a painting. It was bright and colorful, and everything was oddly proportioned, as if the world were filled with abstract pieces of art. Everything moved slightly, too, as if it were swaying in a breeze, but there was no wind. Look at those flowers, Peter said and pointed to the garden ahead. The flowers were extraordinary, as if they were disturbing. Wait, yeah? Oh, that's what it says. Okay. Each flower grew as tall as they were. They were gorgeous colors and had beautiful, plump petals. However, each flower also had a face. They turned to the newcomers and watched them as they walked by. Remember, they love tricking people in Wonderland, Alex whispered. Don't talk to any of them. Hello there, a rose said. Welcome to the garden, a tulip said. Wouldn't you like to stay and hear us sing a song? The orchid asked. The group took Alex's advice to heart and walked right past the flowers without making eye contact. They kept their eyes on the ground until they were out of the garden. If I hadn't seen that in a nightmare before, I definitely will now, Connor said. They looked up and their hearts beat with excitement. In the distance, on the edge of the wood of very tall trees, they saw the white rabbit. He'd paused to look at his watch. Oh dear, I am so late, the rabbit said frantically. I must hurry to the castle before the queen leaves. He dashed into the woods and they chased after him. The rabbit hopped down a paved path, but it was difficult to follow him because the path had a mind of its own. It went sideways, curled upside down, coiled up into trees, and sometimes it ended for no reason, and then they had to turn around. Unfortunately, they lost track of the white rabbit and vanished from sight. They took the path in the direction they saw him last and then came to a fork. The path split into two different directions, and there was a large silver fork stuck in the ground. Which way do we go? Connor asked. I don't know, Alex said. We might have to ask for directions. But you said not to trust anyone here, Peter said. I know, but we don't have much of a choice right now, Alex said. We take a path to the right and we'll ask the first person, plant, or animal that we see. They followed the path to the right and traveled out of the woods. They found themselves entering a forest of another kind. There were mushrooms everywhere they looked. They varied from the size of normal mushrooms to the size of houses. There were polka dot mushrooms, plaid mushrooms, rainbow mushrooms, and mushrooms of every pattern and color imaginable. This place is nuts, Connor said. The odor filled the air as they continued through the mushroom forest. I've recognized that smell, Mother Goose said. It reminds me of Morocco. They figured someone must have been causing it, so they followed the scent off the path. Eventually, they found the source of the smell, and they couldn't believe what they were seeing. In the middle of the fungal forest, they found an enormous caterpillar lounging on top of a mushroom and smoking from a hookah. He was blue with dark spots and very obese, even for caterpillar standards. His antennae were wrapped around his head like a turban. The caterpillar's eyes were glazed over as if he were half asleep, and he blew smoke rings into the air. Excuse me, Mr. Caterpillar? Alex asked, approaching his mushroom. I hope we're not bothering you, but would you kindly point us in the direction of the Castle of Hearts? Who are you? He asked in a drowsy voice. My name is Alex, and this is my brother Connor, and our friends Mother Goose, Lester, the Woodsman, and Mr. Peter. What are you? The caterpillar asked. We're all different, she said. I'm a girl, those two are boys, she's an old woman, that's a goose, and he's a man of metal. The caterpillar giggled. Different, but the same. Huh? Different, but the same, he repeated, but found it just as funny the second time. Or so it appears. Alex turned back to the others, but none of them had any clue what he was talking about. I'm afraid I don't understand, she said. Lost, he stated. Was that a question? Alex asked. A question to you, 'tis a fact to me, the caterpillar said. Alex was so confused that she shook her head. The others felt their sanity slipping from their brains just by being in proximity to the caterpillar. This is going great, Connor said with a massive eye roll. This worm is clearly insane. Let's find someone who will actually help us. Let me handle this one, kids, Mother Goose said. He's not crazy. The hookah is just making his brain sleepy. I might understand him if I get on his level. Mother Goose walked up to the caterpillar and had a bouncy seat on the mushroom beside him. May I? She asked and gestured to the hookah. The caterpillar passed it to her and Mother Goose smoked it. After a few moments, her eyes became as glossy as his, and she also spoke complete nonsense. Who are you? Mother Goose asked the caterpillar. What I am, he said. Where are you? She said. Here with you, he said. And if this were the Castle of Hearts, Mother Goose asked, we'd be there, he said. But where? She asked. In the castle, he said. Ah, so there would be here, she said, and they nodded together. Here would be what's left. The caterpillar nodded. Am I what's left? Mother Goose asked. You're what's right, of course. But what's wrong? And what's left is right. I understand completely, Mother Goose said. Thank you so much, Mr. Caterpillar. The others stared at them, absolutely dumbfounded. Mother Goose hopped down from the mushroom and moseyed back to them. The caterpillar said to go back to the fork and take the left. He did? Alex asked. It's all about the key words, Mother Goose said. I used to be friends with a sultan who enjoyed hookah too. Lester, I'm going to need you to carry me the rest of the way. I'm awfully tired. They left the mushroom forest and returned to the fork in the path. They traveled left instead of right. They followed the path through Wonderland until they came to a sign that read Castle of Hearts and pointed to a road that went up a very steep hill. An enormous structure was perched at the top of the hill. The windows were shaped like hearts, and the flags flying from the towers bore hearts too. That's it, Alex said. That's the Queen of Hearts' castle. They ran up the hill to the castle and found themselves in the Queen's garden. There were rose bushes throughout the garden. Most of the roses were red, others were white, and some looked like a mix of the two. I know, I love the pickle sweatshirt. After further inspection, the twins realized that all of the red flowers had been painted. It was only then that they noticed that the garden was littered in brushes and paint cans, as if the project had come to an abrupt stop, and the twins were pretty sure they knew why. Let's go inside the castle, Alex said. Maybe the Queen of Hearts and her card soldiers will still be in there. They walked across the drawbridge and entered the Castle of Hearts. Much to the Tin Woodsman's delight, there were hearts everywhere. The rugs were covered in hearts, the wallpaper was hearts, all the art was of hearts, even the doors and the arches throughout the castle were shaped like hearts. Gosh, that's like Valentine's Day threw up in here, Connor said. Despite the decor, they found the castle very disheartening. Just like the Wicked Witch's castle, they didn't find a single soul. No one's here, Alex said, and tears came to her eyes. We're too late again. Uncle Lloyd has already taken everyone, and we will never catch up to him. Yes, we will, Connor said. Even if we have to travel into every book that's ever been written, we will find him and stop his army. Everyone, keep your eyes open for a book. He could have stashed it anywhere. They searched every corner of the castle, but came up empty-handed. They walked down a long corridor and through a pair of enormous heart-shaped double doors. The room behind the doors was massive and square. There was a giant throne at the other end of the room and the large platform in the center with a heart-shaped axe resting on top of it. Above them, the room was lined with rows and rows of benches. It was big enough to seat thousands of people. What is this place? A stadium? Connor said. It's a courtroom, Alex said. This must be where the Queen has people beheaded. Alex walked closer to the throne and she accidentally kicked something. A flat object slid across the floor. She looked down and saw that it was a book. It was covered in a blue jacket with a treasure of fairy tales written on the title. I found it, Alex called to the others. It's the treasury of fairy tales that Red was talking about. Connor, they've returned to the fairy tale world already. The twins felt sick to their stomachs. Their uncle had succeeded. He had formed the army of literary villains that he'd been dreaming about since he was a child, and now he was leading it to the fairy tale world to destroy it. Okay, we've got to get back there as soon as possible. They must have just entered the fairy tale world, Connor said. They couldn't have gotten very far. We'll regroup with Jack and Goldilocks and Red and go straight to the Fairy Council. We'll show them that Peter and the Tin Woodman, and they'll have to believe us. We'll round up the armies of the kingdoms together and we'll take our own uncle down. Alex opened the treasury of fairy tales and a bright beam of light shined up from its pages. We'll save time if we split up, Alex said. Mother Goose and I will go to the Fairy Council and show them the Tin Woodsman and Peter. Connor, you travel back into Neverland and Oz and gather up the others. Travel back to the cave and start warning the kingdoms of what's coming. Everyone nodded. It was the best plan they could make, given the time and circumstances. Connor retrieved their copy of Alice's Adventures in Wonderland from Lester's saddle. Alex, be careful, Connor said and gave her a hug. You too. Alex, Mother Goose, and Lester quickly traveled into the beam of light and disappeared from the castle. Connor opened Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. However, just as he was about to step back into Neverland, a winged creature swooped through the courtroom and stole the book. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. What the heck? Connor said. The creature vanished as quickly as it had appeared. Connor looked around the courtroom but didn't see anything. The creature reappeared a moment later and stole the treasury just as the Tin Woodsman, and Peter were about to follow Alex and Mother Goose inside. A sinister laugh echoed through the courtroom, but it didn't come from any of them. What is happening? Peter asked. Connor felt like his heart was beating out of his chest. We're not alone. He was just as terrified to say it as they were to hear it. A thump echoed through the courtroom. Like condensation evaporating from a window, a shield of invisibility disappeared from thousands and thousands of figures that had been inside the courtroom the entire time. Lloyd and his villain army hadn't traveled into the fairy tale world after all. They were right here. Whoa, 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 Lloyd said. It looks like my brave little niece and nephew have come all this way for nothing. Connor's uncle appeared by the throne. He was standing with Captain Hook, the Queen of Hearts, and the Wicked Witch of the West. Captain Hook was a tall man with long, dark, curly hair. He wore a large black hat and a heavy coat with massive shoulders. Notoriously, his right hand was missing and had been replaced by a sharp metal hook. The Queen of Hearts was a hideous woman. She had an abnormally large head and a wide mouth. Her face was unpleasantly flushed at all times. She wore a golden crown and had a large, unflattering gown with mismatched patterns of hearts all over it. Her scepter and all her jewelry were hearts as well. The Wicked Witch of the West was a short and feisty woman. She had one large visible eye, and the other was covered with an eye patch. She had 3 braids of thin hair and wore a pointed golden hat that allowed her to control the flying monkeys. She held a magical umbrella and used it as a cane as she walked. The seats above them were filled with their infamous subordinates, who cheered for their respective commanders. There were thousands of men and women in yellow armor that made up the Winky Army. They stared off into space as if the Wicked Witch had brainwashed them. The Wicked Witch's wolves, crows, and bees and flying monkeys stood and flew among them. There were hundreds of pirates. They were all monstrous and ragged-looking men. Hook's infamous sidekick, Mr. Smee, was among them. He was an awkward, fat, and balding man with a gray beard and striped blue pants. The Queen of Hearts playing card soldiers were stationed throughout the courtroom as well. They were 8 feet tall and 4 feet wide. They bore numbers and symbols of hearts, spades, clubs, and diamonds. The White Rabbit was among them and was so terrified by the creatures around him that he covered his eyes with his ears. If all the children in the other world combined their nightmares, that would be where Connor was standing right now. The Wicked Witch tapped her umbrella on the floor, creating a thump that they had heard earlier, and a flying monkey landed at Lloyd's side. The monkey handed him the copy of Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and a treasury of fairy tales. You've made a big mistake, Connor said to his uncle. As soon as Alex realizes you haven't entered the fairy tale world, she'll know something's wrong and she'll come back with all the fairies. Lloyd laughed. Sadly, Alex will never return from the place I sent her. He peeled the treasury jacket off the book, and Connor saw that the two didn't belong together. Alex had been tricked into another story. "Where did you send her?" he yelled. "That doesn't matter anymore," Lloyd said. "What matters now is where I'm sending the rest of you." "I say, off with their heads!" the Queen of Hearts shouted. "I told you, Your Majesty, you can chop as many heads off as you like once we conquer the fairy tale world," Lloyd said. "I have something even better planned for these three." Lloyd nodded to the Wicked Witch, and she tapped her umbrella again. 6 flying monkeys swooped down and grabbed Connor, the Tin Woodsman, and Peter by the arms. They flew them high into the air, and the entire villain army roared with delight. Connor's uncle removed another book and the blue potion bottle from his lapel pocket. He placed the book on the platform in the center of the courtroom and poured the potion onto it. A beam of light shined straight out of the book and towards the ceiling. "You'll never get away with this," Connor said. "But I already have," Lloyd said with a menacing smile. "Throw him in." "No!" Connor yelled. The flying monkeys threw Connor, the Tin Woodsman, and Peter into the beam of light, and they vanished from the Castle of Hearts. The villain army erupted in applause. Lloyd stacked the book he had tricked Alex into and the book he threw Connor into on top of their copy of Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. He gave the Wicked Witch another nod, and a fiery geyser blasted from the tip of her umbrella. She burned the books until there was nothing left but a pile of ashes. I haven't looked ahead, but does anyone want to guess where they might have been sent? And this is not a spoiler because I don't know, but I feel like they must be sending Connor back to the other world somehow, like a book that takes place is like a nonfiction book or something, because we have to find a way to get back to Bree and Emmerich, right? That's my thought. I don't know where they would have sent Alex, but that's my guess. Anybody have any guesses while I take a sip of coffee? Those are my guesses. And we'll know in a second. Anybody? I know there's a delay. No guess, just mad. Okay. This outraged Captain Hook, and he hooked Lloyd by his collar. "You said I would be the one to kill Peter Pan," he yelled in his face. "That was our agreement." "James, relax," Lloyd said. "I've simply put him in a place that he can't escape from for the time being. Once you and your men have successfully aided me in conquering my home, I'll retrieve the boy to you." Captain Hook released him from his hook, and Lloyd patted him on the shoulder. Hook wasn't convinced Lloyd would keep his word, but only time would tell. Lloyd stood on the top of the platform to address the entire army. "The time has come," he shouted. "Now that the children are gone, there will be nothing to protect the kingdoms of of my home world. We will return to the ship and set sail at once. Together we will conquer the fairy tale world and destroy anything that stands in our way." The villains roared in favor. Lloyd looked proudly over at the army he had formed. His whole life had led up to this very moment. The boy whose powers had been stripped from him was now standing as the most powerful man in the universe. He had accomplished the impossible, and nothing was going to stop him now. "But first," Lloyd said, "to ensure victory, there's another story I'm interested in recruiting from. We'll have to make one more stop." Well, I guess we're going 3 more places. I don't know where we're going, you guys. I thought they were going to tell us, but they didn't tell us. All right. Well, I guess we'll find out one of the 3 tomorrow, I assume, right? I really don't know. That's wild. Wild a lot of times. All right. That's that. And I'm going to go eat breakfast and then get some NaNoWriMo writing done, because that's the name of the game. And then I'm going to make slime for advent calendars, which I cannot do on live because I cannot do it on live because it's a surprise. Because advent calendars are a surprise. All right, bye guys. Love you. See you later.